What's up, guys, and welcome back to Rising Thrills, your #1 source for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland roller coaster content. And in this video, I'll be talking about two coasters that were just announced recently. The first one of these is going to Six Flags New England. This is Quantum Accelerator, which is a Intamin straddle coaster. So it's definitely interesting to see that they went with an Intamin straddle coaster. The straddle coaster types of coasters have really had a comeback lately. I feel like back in the early 2000s, they first had them, which were more like motorbike coasters, which Vekoma made and stuff. But now, and then they stopped making them. But now they've come back, and Intamin has mostly been making them more of a straddle coaster. At a bunch of the SeaWorld parks they have this. But it definitely looks like a good type of coaster. A lot of fun. Definitely a good family coaster, and it might not be the best addition for this park. But overall, it looks like it is a good coaster. I could see it being in the top 5 at this park, because this is definitely one of those Six Flags parks. It's in the middle of the pack, and they do have a few good rides, but all of the other ones are like they're clones and kind of mid rides. But overall, this looks like a good ride. And that one banked part of the ride looks fairly big. It looks really pretty tall compared to the rest of the ride. That might just be because the rest of the ride is fairly low to the ground, and then that just one section is a bit higher up above the ground, so it just looks different just because of the perspective. So yeah, that's Quantum Accelerator going to Six Flags New England. Looks like a good coaster. Looks like a good addition for that park. The second coaster that was recently announced is Wrath of Rakshasa. This is definitely one of those coaster names that a lot of people are gonna mess up, and they're gonna say it differently. Some people may say Wrath of Rakshasa, some people might say Wrath of Rakshasa. But that's not a big deal. But this is a B&M dive coaster coming to Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois. Once you get on the ride, then you start going up to the top of the lift hill. This is a 171-foot tall coaster, so it's just a little taller than Max Force and Goliath, but it's still shorter than Raging Bull. Once you get to the top of the lift hill, then you go down the drop, which is a 96-degree drop, I believe. So this is going to be not quite as steep as something like Fahrenheit, which has a 97-degree drop. Of course, that's a different type of coaster, but that's just what I've been on that had a similar degree of descent. After you go down the drop, then you go through a Immelman. After you go through the Immelman, then you go through a dive loop. The difference between an Immelman and a dive loop is the dive loop, you come into it from the top of the inversion, but with the Immelman, you start at the bottom of the inversion. After the dive loop, then you go through a 0G roll, which is, it looks a lot like a step-up underflip, how this inversion is, built, because they're how you roll down after the 0G roll. And then after you go through the 0G roll, you go through a demonic knot, which is a mix of two different inversions. So a demonic knot is a mix of a corkscrew and a barrel roll. First you go through like a corkscrew and then a barrel roll. So, just a mix of two different types of elements put together to make one element, like, something like a finish loop or, something like that. After you go through that demonic knot, then you go through some helixes and some turns, and then you basically roll into the station. So overall, it definitely looks like a fairly long layout, and parts of the layout come pretty close to other coasters within the park, like Demon. You get some nice head choppers, feet choppers, just feel like you're gonna hit other rides or something, which is definitely a thing that B&M likes to do on a lot of their coasters. But overall, this looks like a good coaster. They definitely did more than just a drop. They had plenty of inversions, plenty of good elements. Obviously, there are no airtime hills on this ride, but overall, they don't really need a ton of airtime on this ride because it is a B&M dive coaster. But overall, it looks like a good coaster. A lot of people have been saying that, this park needs something more of a ride that's like that one ride that is a lot better than any other ride. But overall, I still think it is a good addition to the park. It just fills out their lineup, and hopefully the next coaster they do get is a major coaster, something like Wildcat's Revenge, something like Sky Rush, that really is one-hit ride and you really love it, and this park would be a lot better. But overall, this ride looks like a good ride, and this ride, it's an interesting type of B&M dive coaster, because a lot of the dive coasters, when you come down the drop, there are places within the midway where people can watch from the drop coming down in front of the drop. But instead, there are no places in the midway. Instead, the midway goes under the drop. So I think that's honestly cooler, because a lot of the GP are probably going to say, oh, that ride, that the ride drops on you in the path. That's probably what a lot of the GP are going to say about this ride. But overall, it looks like a good ride. Definitely a good addition, B&M Dive, because this will be one of the only parks that has a B&M Dive and a wing, because they have X-Flight. I feel like this and Cedar Point are probably two of the only parks that have a dive coaster and a wing coaster, which is pretty cool to say, because they're both really, rides that you can really market, like, and a lot of people will come out and ride them because, like, ooh, that's a cool idea, I want to ride that. But overall, both of these coasters, Quantum Accelerator and Wrath of Rakshasa, looks like both of them look like good coasters, and good additions for each park. Yeah, they might not be the best ride ever, but overall, they're just good rides, and it's good to see that Six Flags is adding some major coasters, and they're actually trying to theme them, especially with Wrath of Rakshasa, and not going with a IP-based attraction that's themed around IP-based coaster characters. So it's good that they're doing that, because I know with Great Adventure with Flash, they couldn't really post any updates on social media and stuff like that, because they would have to be approved by Warner Brothers before they could use the name on any of their posts. So that definitely is something to think about. And then, over the time, will Six Flags and Cedar Fair not be doing IP attractions, especially around superheroes? Maybe they'll just do like the Peanuts or something, but maybe not any of the DC characters. But it's definitely good to see that they're not doing just DC rides, because I know this park, they have a lot of rides that are themed to DC characters. But overall, this looks like a good coaster. Theming, hopefully it's good. Obviously, it's not going to be something like Dr. Diabolical's, but hopefully it'll be something good. And overall, this ride looks like a good ride, and also Quantum Accelerator looks like a good ride. I don't know if many people in that area have ridden coasters like that, because I know they have a motorbike coaster at Darien Lake, but that is fairly far, like 4-something hours. So probably not a lot of people have ridden a coaster like that at New England, the straddle coaster, Quantum Accelerator. And then people around Gurnee, Illinois, they probably haven't been on any B&M dive coasters, because the closest one is at like Cedar Point. So both of these coasters are definitely coasters that, so the people that live near them are unique coasters, and they're overall just look like good coasters. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.